Hello everyone, I am Dr. Vinder Jaswal from Government Polytechnic College, Mohali. So today we will start with topic blood sample collection, transportation and processing. First we will discuss the blood sample collection. So in blood sample collection, the blood is generally collected from vein or capillaries. So this blood is used for various hematological or parasitological examination purpose. It is very important to collect the blood sample in the correct manner. For example, when we collect blood from the capillaries by finger prick or heel prick method, so in that case there may be chances of presence of tissue fluid. So that may give you the false result. The blood which is collected from the vein is known as venous blood. So it is generally taken from the antecubital vein. So we will discuss the antecubital vein in next slide. So on the other hand, we can also collect the blood from the finger or heel. This blood collection is known as capillary blood collection. So for accurate examination, venous blood is preferred. So blood can be collected using a syringe and a needle or a vacuum tube. So this slide shows the collection of venous blood. So in this picture you can see there are three veins. So this one is phallic vein, and this one is median cubital vein, and this one is basilic vein. So any of these three veins can be used for collection of venous blood, but this median cubital vein it is preferred. This vein is also known as antecubital vein because it is present in the antecubital fossa. Generally, the selected vein should be large, readily accessible, and sufficiently close to the surface to be seen and palpated. The three veins, cephalic, medial cubital vein, and basilic vein, they are also shown in this picture for better understanding. So this slide shows the various requirements for collection of venous blood. So first one is needles, second one is tourniquet, third one is alcohol wipes, fourth one is gauze sponge, adhesive tape, disposable unit, gloves and syringes. Next is procedure for collection of blood sample. So first we will discuss the preparation of venipuncture site. So for preparation of venipuncture sites, first clean the area from where you want to get the sample with 70% isopropanol alcohol. Do not touch the venipuncture site after it has been cleaned. So then apply the tourniquet. So the tourniquet application should be done about 3 to 4 inches above the venipuncture site. So then ask the patient to make a fist so that the veins they become more prominent. Next is collection of venous blood using a syringe. So for collection of blood, first we should clean our hand properly with soap and water. So then take the patient information. So the information can be directly written on the vial, or the label can be used. So the information must contain the patient name, patient ID number, patient date, and patient date of birth and sex, the physician who referred the patient, and the source of specimen. This is important in some of the cases. For example, when you are working on microbiological samples or cytological sample. So then do write the date and time of collection. Then place the needle into the syringe and check that syringe works properly. During blood collection, keep the syringe parallel to the surface of skin and insert it into the vein. Appearance of blood in the hub of needle indicates that the needle has been successfully entered. Then release the tourniquet immediately. The withdrawal required quantity of blood with piston slowly to avoid frothing. Then place the sterilized gauze pad over the insertion point and apply the pressure. So then deliver the blood gently into the specific receiver. So there are different types of vials which are used to collect the blood. So you can add the sample into the vial. So then cap it firmly to prevent leakage. So maintain the light pressure onto the gauze pad over veiny puncture site till the bleeding stops. The last two parts, they are very important while taking blood sample. Destroy the needle in a specific device immediately after use. Do not break, bend or recap the needle after use. Secondly, place the swab, syringes, other contaminated material into the puncture resistant container for adequate disposal. Otherwise, there are chances of infection to the other people. So next we will discuss the collection of capillary blood. So this is less preferred as compared to venous blood, but in some cases it is important to take the capillary blood sample. So it is important especially in the children, and secondly in the person who are very obese. So it is difficult to find the veins in the obese person. So it is of two type: finger prick method and heel prick method. In finger prick method, the blood sample is generally taken from the third or fourth finger. So only we see the lateral side. So as you can see in this picture, these are the lateral sides. So from there we can take the blood sample. So generally non-dominant hand is used for collection of blood sample. For collection of blood sample, first massage the finger to push blood towards the puncture site. Clean the area with 70% alcohol and allow it to dry spontaneously. Then puncture the skin at 90-degree angle to the depth of 2 to 3 mm with a sterile disposable lancet or needle. Wipe the first drop of the blood and squeeze gently to allow free flow of blood and collect the sample. Do not squeeze firmly as it gives you unnatural result. Because when we squeeze the finger firmly, so the tissue fluid also comes out along with the blood. So that leads to the unreliable results. Next is heel prick method. This method is specially used for newborn baby and infants. So you can see in picture. So this is the site from where we generally take the blood sample. So for that, first warm the heel for 3 to 5 minutes at 45 degrees centigrade to increase the blood flow. The side of the heel is used as a puncture site. Obtain the sample by a deep puncture. So avoid the first drop of blood. So as even in case of finger prick I told you, so if we in the first drop of blood there are present generally tissue fluid along with the blood. So collect the blood sample, elevate the heel and place sanitizing cotton ball. Hold it till bleeding stops. So this slide shows the list of precautions that should be taken while taking the blood. So first one is place blood collection equipment away from the patient. Second one is avoid hemodema. Hemodema area having blood outside the blood vessels. Avoid area of edema. Avoid hemolysis during the blood collection. Dispose of needles immediately upon removal from the patient's vein. Do not break, recap needles to avoid accidental needle puncture or splash of contents. Uh, Clean up any blood spills with a disinfectant such as freshly made 10% bleach. So when you are working in a lab, there are chances that you may stick yourself with contaminated needle. So in that case, what you have to do? First, remove your gloves and dispose of them properly. Squeeze the puncture site to promote bleeding. Wash the area well with the soap and water. Record the patient name and ID number. Follow institutions guidelines regarding the treatment and follow up. We should also practice universal precautions while working in lab. So these precautions are: first, wear gloves and lab coats when while working in the lab. Change gloves after each patient or when they are contaminated. Wash hand frequently. Dispose of items. The next step after blood sample collection is sample transportation. So blood sample transportation is very important because if it is not transported properly, then there are chances of misleading results. As per the testing requirement, the sample can be transported at different temperatures such as frozen temperature, refrigerated temperature and normal temperature. Transportation of sample is generally done in the transportation box which are maintained at the proper temperature depending upon the requirement. Transportation box must have a perforated sponge inside in order to avoid the blockage of tubes. The box should be labeled with the patient details. The box should be properly sealed and it should not be open until the start of testing procedure. Next is storage of blood sample. Storage of blood sample at 2 to 8 degrees centigrade up to 24 hours is acceptable for most of the analytes. Storage beyond 24 hours is generally done by freezing at minus 20 degree centigrade. Do not repeat freezing or thawing more than once. Some analytes needs to be freezed immediately after separation. Next is processing of blood sample. Generally, the processing of blood sample depends upon type of test to be performed. Broadly, processing can be divided into pre-centrifugation processing and centrifugation processing. Pre-centrifugation processing include which are performed before centrifugation. So this include addition of anticoagulant, mixing, etc. So centrifugation processes involves in which we do centrifugation. For example, in case of separation of plasma or serum. Secondly, for the testing of specimen such as gases in blood. Gases in blood like NH3, they are very unstable, so they must be analyzed as soon as possible. The processing of blood sample will be discussed in more detail in transfusion medicine.